Welcome back, Toddler Tribe. Today we're talking about the toxic effects of technology on your toddlers, tweens, and teens, the three T's today. And I hope you're ready to do some serious thinking about the way that technology directly impacts and influences every area of your life and therefore every area of your children's and your students' lives. I personally know that I have this love-hate relationship with tech. You've heard me say a million times, and you'll hear me say a million more. Technology is a tool, not a toy. But even that can overwhelm me as someone who runs a business online. I very often feel like even though I'm using technology as a tool, I'm doing it right now to record this podcast for you. When I go on Instagram and I post something for you, I'm using technology as a tool. All the different ways that it serves the bigger purpose, it still feels like I'm doing it too much, that it's having a negative impact on my social well-being. And that is what we really need to think about when we look at how technology directly impacts young brains, the developing of young spirits, and their ability to understand true social dynamics, the relationship that exists between humans, and how to navigate that. All right, so the very first thing I want to do for you is read directly from the American Academy of Pediatrics, their current best practice recommendation about screen time for kids. And this is going to sound a little extreme based on what we now have as models in our world, but it is so important to start there. For children from birth to 5 years old, screen time recommendations generally suggest limited or no exposure for infants and toddlers. Okay? Infants and toddlers, that's up to about 18 months old, with a focus on 1 hour or less for preschoolers. So now we've got that next level. Specifically, babies under 18 months should have no screen time. Actually, Shrapada, I'm going to start at the top because I auto edited myself, but I shouldn't have. I just need to read it, full stop. So we're going to ground today by me directly reading to you from the American Academy of Pediatrics, their best practice recommendations for the development of young brains and bodies regarding screen time. For children from birth to 5 years old, screen time recommendations generally suggest limited or no exposure for infants and toddlers, with a focus on 1 hour a day or less for preschoolers. Specifically, babies under 18 months should have no screen time, except for video calls. And children aged 18 months to 2 years can be introduced to age-appropriate media in small amounts, preferably alongside a caregiver. This is important. I'm going to come back to that. Children aged 2 to 5 years old should be limited to 1 hour of screen time a day, with an emphasis on co-viewing and choosing high-quality educational programs. And again, this is from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Okay, so when they break it down, it sounds like this. Birth to 18 months, avoid all screen media, all screen time, except for video calls with family and friends. 18 months to 2 years, introduced to high quality digital media with a co-caregiver, like co-regulating, co-experiencing with a caregiver. Makes it a shared experience. And there is interaction when you are talking to them and they are engaging back, when you are interpreting what you see, what you feel, what you're learning. The learning happens, this is important, don't miss this, The learning happens through your interaction with the child, not through your child's interaction with the screen. It has been proven time and time and time again that learning does not happen through a screen. It is that connection point that is the beautiful soil, if you will. I'm a farmer, so soil's my thing, that grows the opportunity to learn when you are engaging with them. Yeah, it doesn't give you the break you're looking for, does it? But it is a learning opportunity if you are present. And then 2 to 5 years, limit screen time to 1 hour a day. And now they're not actually directly saying that you always have to be involved. But with that limited time period, you know that you are not overwhelming this developing brain with the quick dopamine hits that they get, that quick adrenaline rush that they get from the programming that they're watching. You've heard about Cocomelon and how incredibly devastating it is for setting the bar in that brain to think that everything in their life needs to be quick, 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 and entertain, entertain, entertain. And they do not know how to sit inside their own body, their own nervous system, and wait for anything. We are making things worse in the world of attention issues. So, that said, that is our baseline. I want to walk you through 3 different real world experiences that I saw when I was on vacation this last summer. And I was struck by all of them. Okay, let's start with toddlers. That's why we're here. So we were on vacation and we went to the grocery store to pick up a few things for the cabin. And I saw a mom walk in with an older child, I'm going to say 6 or 7 years old. And then still, as you know, in the early childhood spectrum, right? Because from the educational perspective, that is birth to 8. So, but older. And then right in it toddler. Had to be around between 18 and 24 months for sure. And I thought, oh, this is going to be lovely. Like, I love observing moms in the wild. I just do. I love cheering them on, whether it's silently or literally going up to them and saying, you're doing a great job today. I know this is big work. And she scoops up her toddler. She puts him in the front part of the carriage at the grocery store. And I think off they go. Then she opens her purse, pulls out an iPad, the kind that has like the silicone thing around it. Clearly, it's this child's iPad, right? Gives it to the toddler, turns it on, and then they start to shop. And I had to take a very long, deep breath and think, wow. What happened in that moment? Okay, let's back it up. Let's rewind. She puts the toddler in the seat. If at that moment she makes a different decision, puts her hand on the cart and starts to move, what possibilities have been unlocked? The availability for interaction, conversation, to point at things as they move down aisles, to teach what's what, to narrate what they're going to buy and why they're going to buy it, to ask about a cereal preference. All of that lost. All of that connection possibility and that skill building and that relationship building and that safety to sit inside his own body and just look around, to take in visual information, to listen, to take in auditory information. Gone. by putting a physical device in his hand so that she would not be bothered while she walked around the store. Broke my heart. That's a toddler experience. All right, now, how long was grocery shopping going to take? I don't know the answer to that. 20 minutes? 30 minutes? 40 minutes? 1 hour a day or less, friends. Pretty much evaporated at the grocery store. For every amount of time that they are on a screen, have access to a screen, after that, the damage it does. These statistics show those higher correlations of later diagnoses when we are allowing that. Whew. So that's what I saw in Toddlerland. Okay, we're driving home from vacation. Are you ready for this one? I can't even. Now that I'm picturing it in my head and I still can't. We're driving home from vacation and we're going slowly meandering through this little town. Speed limit's super slow, thank goodness. I look out the window and I see a tween, probably about 11 or 12 years old. And she is outside, woohoo, kicking a soccer ball. Awesome. I see her friend, her sister, or I don't know who this person was to her, and they're kicking it back and forth. And then I notice in her hand is her phone, kicking the ball back and forth, phone in hand, doing nothing. She's not attending to the phone. It's just in her hand. Why? Oh my gosh, does this get me? They are addicted. They are full-blown addicted. The idea that she doesn't feel the phone in her hand is more stressful for her body than the idea that it poses a challenge in effectively using her whole body to do this physical activity. Sit with that. This is the digital generation. And where did that start? Where did that mind-body connection begin? Toddlerhood. Toddlerhood. Okay. Now let's go to our teens. So at the end of the vacation, again, on the way home, we stopped at a station and we were doing a little thing, putting in the gas, whatever, we're doing our things. And I went in to pay. And I was in line. There was a bunch of people in front of me. So I had the opportunity to observe this teenager, 16 to 18 years old, young gentleman. And I noticed there was like a small gap between each person, right? And they would be getting their stuff and walking out the door before the other one approached. And then I'm talking like minuscule seconds of a gap between customers. And every time the customer was on their own before moving on and the other one moving up, this teenager grabbed for his phone, opened it up. I mean, had time to do almost nothing. Maybe open an app, maybe not. But then would have to put it back down to wait on the next customer. Open it up. You could see it in his face, the relief on his face when he got that hit, what he was looking for. Put it back down. Open it up. Put it back down. I was exhausted watching this young man. But more than that, I was so sad to see that his baseline mode is must be fed by the device, must be fed by the dopamine hit, must be. Now we're in full-blown addiction mode. Plus, this brain who has developed neural pathways that can only feel, quote, safe when they are being fed and entertained by something that's coming from the outward world. This says everything that we need to know about why this generation is struggling so much to feel self-anything, self-motivated, self-confident, self-assured, self-directed. If you are somebody who is blessed to be raising the next generation, this needs to stop. You've got to put the boundaries in place early and often. And then you need to interact with these kids earlier and more often. Use your voice, use your words, use your bodies, use your social context. Create a world where they feel like they are leading themselves through the world instead of a world that is dragging them along. It is so important. And I know you see it. I see a major shift in parents who are deciding kids are not getting phones at young ages. Woohoo, exciting stuff. And I know this is a little longer than my typical solo episodes, but I want to wrap this up by saying and reminding you, a screen is a screen is a screen is a screen. A phone is a screen. iPad is a screen. TV is a screen. Computers are screens. And there are many, many more. I've listed the 4 heavy hitters that likely exist in your home. And there's also a difference. In our minds, there tends to be anyway, but there isn't really, between direct screen time and what I call secondhand screen time. If you are on your phone and they have visual access to you, they have visual access to the screen. That's considered part of their screen time because it's accessible. If the TV is on in the background and nobody is watching it, they have visual and auditory access to that screen. That's part of their screen time. Okay, I have packed a lot to think about into this 18 minutes, and I really want you to sit with it. If you're ready to take some serious steps to reduce or erase certain parts of the screens in your home, then I welcome you to send me a message. You're looking for an accountability partner? I got you. I got you. I'm blessed that I raised kids in a different time period. These were not choices that I had to battle with. They weren't. And I'll tell you. My husband and I are still doing this at our age. He's 50, I'm almost 50. We just decided that we're not TV watchers anymore. We removed the television from the home. And we are finding other things to do, and we are choosing to sit inside the uncomfortable of our bodies just want to be entertained. They want to sit there and do nothing and be told somebody else's story, somebody else's vision, and move into we have the ability to create our own experiences. We play games together now. We connect more. We go on walks after dinner. We are doing projects. We do puzzles. It's interaction instead of absorption. Okay, toddler tribe. I know that there's one thing that you can shift. DM me on Instagram and tell me what it's going to be, and I will cheer for you. You know what to do. Until our next episode, stay mindful and proactive as we transform the toddler.